So, garlic for your eyesight. Where does this connection even come from? To understand it, we have to travel very, very far back, thousands of years, all the way to the dawn of human civilization. Picture the mountains of Central Asia, the high, harsh slopes of the Tian Shan, the rocky valleys of what is today Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Biting wind, poor soil, sharp swings of temperature. It was there, in those unforgiving conditions, that the wild ancestor of our garlic grew thousands of years ago. And even then, ancient people noticed something. This unremarkable plant, with its sharp smell, gave them strength. It warmed them from within. It helped them not to fall ill in the cold. It supported life itself, as we would say today. People began to carry it with them on their journeys, to plant it beside their homes, to pass it down from one generation to the next. And so began one of the longest partnerships in history, the partnership between humankind and garlic, a partnership that has lasted more than 5,000 years. And here's the first brushstroke of our story. Notice where garlic grew. In the mountains, on stone, in poor earth. And yet it pulled from that earth everything it could, soaking up minerals, storing sulfur, concentrating the strength of the soil inside itself. Garlic is, if you like, a tiny pump that draws dozens of useful substances out of the ground and packs them into its cloves. Almost the entire periodic table in a single bulb. We'll come back to this and break down exactly what's inside. For now, just remember this image. Garlic gathers the strength of the earth. And part of that strength, as you'll soon discover, works for your eyes too. Let's move on across the map and through time to ancient Egypt. The Great Pyramids, the blazing sun, thousands of labourers on the construction sites. And do you know what they were fed to endure that brutal work? Garlic. Historians tell us that garlic and onions were part of the daily diet of the pyramid builders. They were believed to give endurance and to protect against illness. Garlic was found in the tombs of the pharaohs, placed beside the departed as a treasure worthy of eternity. And in one of the oldest medical documents in human history, the Egyptian Ebers Papyrus, more than 3,500 years old, garlic appears in dozens of remedies for weakness, for infection, for all manner of ailments. 3,500 years ago, people were already healing with garlic. Let that number sink in. And now ancient Greece, the cradle of medicine, the homeland of Hippocrates, the father of all physicians. Hippocrates prescribed garlic for a whole range of complaints. And the Greek athletes, the very ones who competed at the first Olympic Games, chewed garlic before their contests to add strength and stamina. You could say garlic was the first performance enhancer in history, only natural and honest. And it's from antiquity that our own theme runs, too. Even the ancient physicians linked overall health, clean blood, a strong body with clarity of the eyes, with sharpness of sight. A healthy person is a person with clear eyes. And garlic made people healthier. Ancient Rome legionaries and labourers ate garlic by the handful. It was dedicated to Mars, the god of war, because people believed it gave a soldier's strength and protected against disease on campaign. Ancient India, Ayurveda garlic, as one of the great cleansing and strengthening remedies. Ancient China, thousands of years of garlic in traditional medicine for digestion, for the blood, for long life. Do you see where I'm going with this? There was not a single great civilization that passed garlic by. Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Indians, Chinese, every people, each in its own way, discovered one and the same thing. This sharp little clove is one of the most useful gifts nature ever gave us. One of the most useful vegetables on earth. And that is not an exaggeration, not a pretty phrase for the sake of a pretty phrase. It is a conclusion that the greatest minds of humanity arrived at independently over 5,000 years. But a beautiful history is one thing. What does science say? What exactly did researchers find inside garlic when they took it into the laboratory, broke it down into its parts, studied it under the microscope? Here comes the fascinating part. And here comes the part that matters most for your eyes. Stay with me. When garlic was taken apart molecule by molecule, it turned out to be far more than a seasoning. It's a genuine natural pharmacy. Let's start with the vitamins. Garlic contains vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant that protects cells from damage. And here, for the first time, comes a word that will be the key to our whole story about garlic for your eyesight antioxidant. Remember it. Next, the B vitamins. Above all, B6, which take part in the work of the nervous system. And the optic nerve, the very one that carries the picture from your eye to your brain, is part of the nervous system too. Garlic also contains vitamin B1, thiamine, sometimes called the vitamin of vigour. But the real treasure of garlic is its minerals. And here, remember the image I gave you at the start. Garlic draws everything useful out of the earth. So it contains selenium, a trace element most people know nothing about, and that's a shame. Selenium is one of the main pillars of the body's antioxidant defense. It's part of the enzymes that neutralize free radicals, those aggressive particles that wear down our cells, including the cells of the eye. Next, manganese, zinc, copper, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, iron, and sulfur. A lot of sulfur. It's the organosulfur compounds that make garlic garlic. They give it its smell, its sharpness, and most of its healing power. Almost the entire periodic table, remember? Well, that's not just a figure of speech. It's dozens of elements gathered by nature into one small clove, one of the most nutrient-dense, most concentrated vegetables that exists. Now let's connect this to your eyes honestly, without exaggeration. How are the antioxidants in garlic connected to your sight? Look, your eye is an astonishingly delicate, astonishingly hard-working organ. Light passes through it every single second. The retina, the lens, every structure of the eye is working constantly, which means it is constantly under what scientists call oxidative stress. This is natural wear and tear, the build-up of damage from those same free radicals. Over the years, that wear is one of the factors in the aging of the eye. And this is exactly where antioxidants, vitamin C, selenium, the organosulfur compounds of garlic act as defenders. They help the body fight oxidative stress. They don't cure your eyes. Hear me clearly, they help your body protect them. It's like lubrication for a mechanism, like a coat of anti-rust protection. You're not repairing the machine, you're keeping it from rusting. That is what garlic for your eyesight means in the language of real science. But that's still not all. Hold on, because now we're coming to the most powerful, the most proven side of garlic. To that superpower for which humanity has loved it for thousands of years and loves it still. I'm talking about the antibacterial and antimicrobial properties of garlic. And this is what I want you to really focus on. In the year 1858, The great French scientist Louis Pasteur, the very man whose name is on the word pasteurization, the man who laid the foundations of all microbiology, ran an experiment. He dropped garlic juice onto a culture of bacteria, and the bacteria died. Pasteur saw with his own eyes what folk medicine had known by instinct for thousands of years. Garlic kills microbes. It was one of the first scientific proofs that ordinary garlic possesses the power of a true antiseptic. And then came the wars. The First World War, the Second World War, wounded soldiers, a shortage of medicines, festering wounds, the threat of blood poisoning. And you know what saved lives when the medicine ran out? Garlic. Its juice, its crushed pulp, was applied to wounds as an antiseptic. It was called Russian penicillin because it worked where there were no real antibiotics. Thousands of soldiers survived because ordinary garlic stopped their wounds from turning septic. Think about that. A tiny clove saving lives on the battlefield. So, what's the secret? The secret is a substance called allicin. Remember that word allicin? It is garlic's main working weapon. And here comes the crucial point. The reason our whole conversation will, in the end, come down to raw garlic. In a whole, undisturbed clove, there is no allicin. It appears only when you crush the garlic, cut it, chew it, when you break its structure. In that moment, two substances that had been kept apart inside the clove meat, and allicin, is instantly born that compound with the sharp smell and colossal antimicrobial power. Scientists isolated and studied it back in the 1940s and were astonished. Allicin acts against bacteria, against fungi, against a huge range of microbes. Nature created an antibiotic that switches on at the very moment the plant is damaged. And here's what I want you to truly feel. We live in a world that has started to forget this power of garlic, and that's a mistake. Modern science today is genuinely concerned. Bacteria are more and more often growing used to antibiotics, ceasing to respond to them. And against that backdrop, scientists keep returning to the laboratory, to ordinary garlic, to study its allicin, because it acts differently, more broadly, and microbes find it far harder to adapt to. Think about that. What our great-grandmothers knew in the kitchen is now being seriously studied in research institutes. Garlic is a natural antiseptic that humanity did not invent, but received as a gift. It works against bacteria. It works against fungi. It helps the body hold its defences on every front. And this is not a folk tale. It is a confirmed, studied, real property. The very reason garlic has earned its place in humanity's medicine cabinet for thousands of years. I'm placing such strong emphasis on this on purpose because this antimicrobial might is perhaps the most honest, the most proven side of garlic. And when it comes to the eyes, an organ so vulnerable to any infection that might work for you from within, strengthening your overall defense. Now, how this connects to the eyes, honestly and to the point. Your eyes are an open door into the body. They're in constant contact with the outside world, with dust, with bacteria. Eye inflammations, styes, conjunctivitis. Most often these are the work of microbes and a weakened immune system. And when your body is rich in natural antimicrobial substances, when your immune system runs like clockwork, it's easier for it to fight off any infection, including the kind that threatens your eyes. And let me say this again, so there's no misunderstanding. We do not put garlic in the eyes. Never do that. It's dangerous. We're talking about something else, about garlic supporting your defences from within, strengthening the barrier that stands between you and illness. This is why garlic for your eyesight is, to a huge degree, about immunity, about your overall protection. A healthy, strong, well-defended body means healthy eyes as well. And since we've started talking about immunity, let's stay here for a moment, because this is the foundation of everything. Garlic is one of the most powerful natural allies of the immune system. It helps keep the body in good form, supports its defences, helps it get through the cold and flu seasons more easily. And a strong immune system isn't only about not sneezing in winter. It's about the overall state of the whole body. When the body isn't spending its strength on an endless battle with infection, it has resources left over for everything else, including keeping the delicate, sensitive tissues of the eye in good order. Everything in our body is connected. And garlic doesn't work in one single spot, it works on the whole system at once. And there's another thread that runs from garlic straight to your eye's blood. Circulation. Listen closely, this is important. The eye is one of the most nutrient-demanding organs there is. The retina is threaded with the tiniest blood vessels, finer than a human hair, and it's through them that oxygen and nutrients are delivered to the cells of the eye. If blood flows freely through those vessels, the eye receives everything it needs. If circulation is impaired, the eye goes hungry. And garlic is traditionally valued for supporting the cardiovascular system, for helping the blood stay fluid and the vessels stay elastic. And good circulation means good nourishment for the eye. Do you follow the logic? Garlic doesn't act on the eye directly, like drops. It acts more cleverly. It sets in order the systems that sight depends on. Clean blood, open vessels, strong immunity, antioxidant defense. It works at the root, not on the symptom. And in that lies all its wisdom. Now, let's take an honest look at the way you and I live today. Look around you. A phone screen from morning till night, a computer at work, television in the evening. Our eyes carry a load that no generation before us ever knew. We stare into bright screens for hours, barely blinking, growing tired, rubbing our eyes by evening. This is the new reality, and there's no escaping it. We've worked through the science. Now, I want to introduce you to some people who devoted their lives to the idea that food is medicine, that health comes not from the pharmacy, but from the garden and the kitchen. These people are not academic scientists, and I'm telling you that honestly. They are thinkers, philosophers of natural health, authors whom millions followed. Their views are their views, their experience, their convictions. But it was they who did more than anyone to make healthy eating popular. The first of them is Herbert Shelton, an American who lived in the 20th century, the founder of an entire movement known as natural hygiene. Shelton wrote dozens of books and spent his whole life defending one simple, powerful idea. The body is able to maintain its own health if only you don't get in its way and you give it living, natural food. He was a committed advocate of raw plant food. He believed that it is in fresh, unprocessed vegetables and fruits that the life force which truly nourishes a person is found. And garlic sharp, alive, full of strength, fits that philosophy perfectly. Shelton taught, don't hinder the body, feed it living food, and it will repay you with health, including a clear gaze and strong eyes. Alongside Shelton stands another name, Norman Walker, the man often called the father of juice therapy. Walker lived, by various accounts, to around 100 years old, and all his life he drank fresh-pressed vegetable juices and wrote books about it that spread all over the world. His central idea, Fresh vegetable juice is concentrated life. It's vitamins and minerals in their most absorbable form, reaching the body directly, without an extra burden on digestion. And here, my friends, our conversation connects with what you see on the screen. All these wonderful vegetable and fruit recipes, all these juices. This is that very philosophy of Walkers in action. And a drop of garlic juice in a blend like this is that very living garlic we're talking about, all its power in its most accessible form. And the third person we can't leave out of this conversation is Vitaly Ostrovsky, a modern popularizer of the healthy lifestyle, whose talks and books are known to millions in the Russian-speaking world. Ostrovsky is an ardent advocate of natural food, of fresh juices, and of garlic in particular. He speaks a great deal about garlic as one of nature's chief helpers for a human being, about its cleansing power, about its benefit for the whole body. Ostrovsky believes, and this is his position, that nature gave a human being everything needed for health, and all you have to do is return to simple, living, natural food. And garlic holds a place of honour in his teaching as a symbol of that very natural strength that's available to everyone, if only you reach out your hand. And I want to underline, this is Ostrovsky's view, his conviction, arrived at along his own path. But you have to admit it holds the same thought as Shelton, as Walker, as the ancient Egyptians, as Hippocrates. A thought that runs like a red thread through the whole history of humanity. Living, natural food is the foundation of health, and garlic is one of its peaks. Did you notice how it all came together? Science speaks of allicin, selenium, and antioxidants. History speaks of 5,000 years of love for garlic. The philosophers of natural health speak of living food. And all of them, from different directions, arrive at one and the same conclusion about garlic. And now the most practical and perhaps the most unexpected turn in our whole conversation for many of you. Because on what you're about to hear depends whether you'll get everything from garlic or almost nothing. Remember I talked about allicin? About how it's born only when garlic is crushed? Well, that rule has a second half, and it's critically important. Allicin is a delicate substance. It fears high heat. When garlic goes into boiling water or onto a scorching pan, the very enzyme responsible for the birth of allicin is destroyed, and most of the healing power is lost. That's exactly why our whole conversation, everything I'm telling you today, is about raw garlic. About living garlic. Only raw, fresh, freshly crushed garlic holds within it all that power for which humanity has valued it for thousands of years. And here's a simple but golden piece of advice worth this entire video. Crush a clove of garlic and let it sit for about 10 minutes before you eat it or add it to your juice. Those 10 minutes are needed for the allicin to fully form. Crush it, wait, then use it. Remember this, put it into practice, and you'll get many times more benefit from garlic than most people ever do. And now look at the screen. Here they are, the vegetable and fruit juices. And here's where our raw garlic fits so gracefully. Since we're here at the screen with these juices in front of us, let me show you why combinations like these are genuinely clever. Look, garlic with carrot. The carrot carries what is connected to sight, almost first and foremost, its orange pigments, and garlic adds its antioxidant and antimicrobial power to them. Garlic with greens, with parsley, with celery, with spinach. These dark green leaves are a treasure trove of everything the eye loves. Plus, garlic's support on top. Garlic with apple or with beet, The fruit and the root vegetable bring sweetness and softness. They quiet the sharpness. They make the drink pleasant to taste. And garlic's benefit doesn't go anywhere. That's the beauty of these recipes. They're not just delicious. They're built cleverly. They strengthen one another. Garlic here is not the lead character drowning out everyone else. It's that secret ingredient, a drop of strength that makes an already healthy juice even more powerful. One small drop of garlic juice and your glass turns from merely full of vitamins into truly fortifying. Try it and you'll be surprised how naturally garlic fits into a fresh vegetable and fruit taste. And here I want to be completely honest with you, because honesty is the main thing. Garlic is not strong on its own. It is strong in company. It's precisely together as part of a rich, colourful, living, plant-based diet that garlic fully reveals itself. Garlic alone will not save you, but garlic as part of a proper, colourful table of vegetables and fruits is powerful support for the whole body and, of course, for your eyes. That is why these recipes and this story go together. They are one whole. And now the part that many of you, I'm sure, stayed all the way to this point for. Let's talk in very concrete terms. How much, and when to consume garlic so that you get the benefit and don't harm yourself. Listen closely and remember, how much garlic a day? For most healthy adults, the sensible, time-tested amount is 1 to 2 cloves of raw garlic a day. Not a head a clove, 1 or 2. More is not better. Garlic is a strong thing, and here what works is not quantity, but regularity. 1 or 2 fresh cloves every day will give you far more than a whole head once a month. How exactly should you consume it? We've already said the main thing, only raw, fresh garlic. Crush a clove, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and after that, it's your choice. You can press its juice and add it to that vegetable and fruit blend. This is perhaps the most pleasant and gentlest way, because the taste of the other vegetables and fruits smooths out the sharpness while the benefit is fully preserved. You can finely chop it and add it to a salad dressed with good oil. You can eat it plain if you're a hardy sort. The main thing is not to expose garlic to heat if what you want is the health effect. And here's a very important point about the stomach. Garlic is a sharp, active substance. On an empty stomach, raw garlic can cause unpleasant sensations in sensitive people, burning, discomfort. So here's my honest advice. If you have a sensitive stomach, don't eat garlic on an empty stomach. Take it with food or as part of a vegetable juice that has other ingredients in it. But if your stomach is strong and you have no trouble, you can take it in the morning too. Many people love to start their day with a clove of garlic in a fresh juice. It energizes and gets the body going. Listen to your body. It's the best advisor. When is best, morning, noon, or evening? There's no strict law here, and anyone who tells you there's only one correct hour is not being straight with you. Morning is good because you get a charge for the whole day. Midday, lunch, a good option if you're eating garlic with your main meal, since it's gentler on the stomach that way. Evening is fine too, but remember one simple, everyday thing: the smell. Allicin, our main treasure, is also the main source of the garlic aroma. So many people prefer to take garlic when there are no important meetings ahead. Choose the time that fits your way of life. Here, you're your own master. And a couple of practical tricks, without which the picture wouldn't be complete. First, choose good garlic. Firm, hard heads, heavy in the hand, with dry, rustling skin. No soft spots and no green sprouts pushing through. The fresher and firmer the clove, the more strength in it. Second, store garlic in a dry, dark, cool place, but not in the fridge, where it grows damp and loses its flavour. A well-ventilated kitchen cupboard works far better. Third, about the smell, since for many people this is the main obstacle. The smell of garlic is the flip side of its benefit, of that very allicin, so it's impossible to remove it completely while keeping the strength, and don't believe anyone who promises otherwise. But softening it is quite possible. Follow the garlic with a sprig of fresh herbs, parsley or mint, a slice of apple, or wash it down with lemon water. But the best working method is the very one we've been talking about this whole film. Press the garlic into a vegetable and fruit juice, where the other tastes and aromas naturally mute the sharpness. Then the smell becomes almost unnoticeable, and all the benefit stays with you. Now for the most common question about courses and breaks. How long can you eat garlic a day, a week, a month? And do you need a break? Look, garlic is, first and foremost, ordinary, healthy food, not a pill. As a seasoning, as part of your diet, you can eat it every day, all the time. Whole peoples do it their entire lives. Take the Mediterranean, take the Caucasus, where garlic is on the table year-round and people live long lives. But if what you want is a deliberate, course-based approach, then a sensible, traditional scheme is this. 3 to 4 weeks of daily intake, then a break of 1 to 2 weeks, and if you wish, repeat. Such a rhythm gives the body both support and a little rest, so there's no monotony and nothing wears thin. This is not a rigid medical protocol, it's a sound, calm approach tested by experience. And once again, I'll repeat what matters to me most: listen to your body. It will always tell you when it's enough and when you can go on. And now the thing that any honest person is obliged to say, and I promised you honesty from the very first minute: garlic, for all its benefit, is not right for everyone, and not always. It's able to thin the blood a little, which means that if you take medications that affect blood clotting, or you're preparing for surgery, you absolutely must consult your doctor before leaning on garlic. If you have conditions of the digestive tract, serious chronic illnesses, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, if you take any medications, do not start garlic courses without consulting a doctor. This isn't overcaution, it's respect for yourself. Garlic is a strong, natural remedy, and everything strong calls for sensible handling. And the main thing, once more, so that no illusion remains between us, garlic is support, not treatment. If you have problems with your sight, if you feel you're seeing worse, go to an ophthalmologist. No garlic, no juice, no folk wisdom will replace a doctor. Garlic is what you do for yourself every day, in addition, not instead. And now let's bring it all together and sum up our long and, I hope, interesting journey. You and I have travelled the road from the wild mountains of Central Asia, where the first garlic grew 5,000 years ago, to the modern laboratory, where scientists broke it down into its molecules. We learned that garlic takes into itself the strength of the earth, almost the entire periodic table, dozens of minerals, vitamins, and above all, sulfur and selenium, the pillars of our antioxidant defense. We understood how that antioxidant strength helps the body fight oxidative stress, the very wear and tear that over the years threatens our eyes. We stood in awe of the might of allicin, a natural antiseptic that saved soldiers in wartime and that switches on at the very moment we crush a fresh clove. We worked out why strong immunity and good circulation are a direct path to eye health, since the eye is fed by blood and defended by the immune system. We recalled Shelton, Walker, Ostrovsky people who teach us to return to living natural food. And we learned firmly, only raw garlic, only fresh, crushed and rested for 10 minutes holds all its strength. That is what garlic for your eyesight means. That is what garlic for your eyes means. Not a magic pill, but a faithful, honest, everyday ally of your health. One of the most useful gifts that nature ever gave us, small, sharp, available to everyone. It doesn't shout about itself. It simply, quietly does its work. Cleaning the blood, strengthening the defences, nourishing the body, supporting the systems that the clarity of your gaze depends on. So the next time you pick up an ordinary head of garlic, look at it with new eyes. What's in front of you is not just a seasoning. In front of you are 5,000 years of human wisdom pressed into a single clove. Put it in your juice, add it to your plate, make it part of your life calmly, regularly, wisely, and your body and your eyes will thank you. Take care of yourself, take care of your eyesight, and may there always be a place on your table for living fresh, real garlic.